Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of Straight Talk. I'm Laurel Porter. Well-known drag performer Poison Waters, otherwise known as Kevin Cook, joined us for this week's episode of Straight Talk to kick off Pride Month. Poison is the Grand Marshal of this weekend's Starlight Parade. We had so much more that we wanted to talk about with Poison. She agreed to join us for a bonus chat. So thanks for doing this.
Sure, my pleasure. I know we could just chat all day long.
Yes, we could.
You and I.
Well, you grew up, we talked about this in the main episode, in Park Rose, in the Park Rose neighborhood. You were a gay black man in the 1980s. What was that like?
So it was wild because I felt really kind of like a unicorn there in Park Rose in East County. At that time, there weren't a lot of families of color, and I certainly didn't know anybody else who was gay, and I actually wasn't officially out as gay until after I graduated high school because I didn't dare. Of course, there was a lot of, some bullying and jocks, push you into the locker and call you some bad names that, refer to gay people. And I was just like, how do these people know so much about me that I don't even know about myself yet? It was really kind of interesting to me. I was like, how do they know? Because I didn't even know. I was still trying to figure out what was going on with me. I knew I was different, but I didn't know exactly how. And so it wasn't until after I graduated high school, went to Mountain Community College out in Troutdale, started going to clubs in downtown Portland, that I started meeting people that weren't in that, 20 block radius of Park Rose High School, and actually meeting friends of different friends of color and different ethnicities and cultural backgrounds and different religions, and really just trying to, find my place in the world. And just, it was so silly. People, my guidance counselors and favorite teachers always said, wait till you graduate, everything's going to get better. And I was like, how? It seems like it was fabulous. Just getting out and seeing the world and meeting people, yeah.
Do you think times have changed?
They certainly have, fortunately. The things that I do a lot of work now with colleges, high schools, even middle schools where they have gay straight alliances. They have programs for the LGBTQ youth. None of that was even a thought back then, and I wonder how my experience would have been so much better if I had that kind of support. And years after you go to your high school reunions and stuff, it's interesting how many more gay classmates I have now as an adult, where back then I was the only one that was kind of being picked on and targeted, and everybody else was just living their life. So I think more people may have felt more comfortable to come out and be supportive and kind of have our own micro community within the greater community of our school. So I definitely think things haven't changed, have improved, sorry.
And you grew up poor. How has that motivated you in your life?
Oh gosh, my whole growing up, I just knew there's got to be more. This just can't be it. This can't be my existence for the rest of my life. There has got to be more. And so I've always strived for more. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I say no and I say no. I never say no. I say yes to every opportunity and just figure it out later. I found myself, scheduled like 6 events in a day, boom, 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 but I just want to just keep going. I don't ever want to go backwards.
Well, tell us about the process of becoming Poison Waters. We have some pictures of you as Kevin Cook. Yeah. What's the process like becoming Poison Waters?
The process is daunting. When I very first started, because I didn't know what I was doing, and I told you I met those other older drag queens, and they just looked beautiful, and I just felt like I just looked like a stick in the mud. I don't know what I looked like, and so learning the process and watching the performers on either side of you. This is decades before the internet and before YouTube and makeup tutorials. Now the new drag queens, they can just look online and figure it all out. We had to do trial and error in the process. I used to take 2 hours to get in drag, and oh my gosh, it was the longest 2 hours of every night, and I just really disliked it. And I just love being in front of the audience and being in front of the people. The whole getting ready process, to me, I don't care for it. I've gotten it down now. I can get ready in 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
From 2 hours to 15 minutes.
Oh my goodness, you need to teach me a thing or two about it.
It's just like, oh my gosh, let me just get this on so I can get out the door and get to what I'm doing. Because just the sitting there and just doing all that. And it's different because some drag queens, they change their look each time, and they change, I've looked the same, I have the same makeup colors, the same everything this whole time. It just has gotten a little better because I've, learned a few tricks. But yeah, it's to me, I couldn't imagine people still, drag queens still 4 or 5 hours in front of the makeup mirror. The results are amazing, but I don't have time for that.
I need to learn how you put those eyelashes on.
That is a trick. Let me tell you, they're not. That's not the easiest part, as you know.
Well, some folks may be wondering if this is a full-time job for you.
Yeah, the whole time I did drag, I started out when I started as a teenager in drag. I worked at Kmart on 122nd, and then I managed a local family gift stores called HK Limited. I don't know if you remember those. I love those at all the malls, and I did that for years. Then I worked for the state of Oregon for 12 years, and then I worked for a local publishing company for many years after that. It's only been since 2017 that I don't have time for a day job. I have bookings all day, every day. June is Pride Month. I have 79 individual events and bookings in a 30-day month. I couldn't imagine going to work.
You need a clone. You need Kevin to be working too.
Well, I'm kind of a control freak too. I don't trust anybody to do my job, so no, I wouldn't do that.
And you don't just perform, as you say, at Darcel Showplace. You have your own show too.
Yes, I have my own group, Poison Waters and Friends, and we're available for now so many virtual events, Laurel. During the pandemic, we did over 650 virtual bingos with clients literally all around the world, because we're doing drag at 4 in the morning for a company in Singapore, or 8 in the morning for somebody in Europe. And it's just wild to me that the modern technology and that it's interesting too, the international appeal of drag. There's not enough time. I have to say no to people because my schedule's so full. I hate saying no, but literally around the world, people want drag in their Zoom calls and their Zoom meetings, or now we're back in person. So I'm half virtual, half Zoom, and it's really fantastic. There's just no time for anything else.
Well, we talked in the main episode about Darcel a lot, but we didn't get to find out how you met. How did you meet Darcel?
Well, the first time I met Darcel, at that underage nightclub we talked about before, I ran for a drag pageant the first year I did drag, and I won. And this is a teenage drag queen pageant. Well, I won, and during the crowning ceremonies, they brought in like some local regal, drag queens to preside over the crowning ceremony, and I just remember they said Darcel, and I didn't really know who that was, but in floated this blonde hair and all these jewels, and I just thought, oh my gosh, who is this? And I don't remember what Darcel said about, congratulations, whatever, but I remember the very end, he grabbed my hand, he said, most of all, have fun. He's like, this is supposed to be fun, because sometimes you can get caught up in, everything else. He said, just have fun. So I always remembered that. And that year, particularly, it's funny, we're talking about this during Pride, because I was working at the gift store, and the club said, we want you to be in the Gay Pride Parade. Well, I'd never been in the parade before, and back then it was still kind of like, does the daytime know what the nighttime's doing? I didn't know if the gift store people that I worked for knew that I was in drag and knew that I was doing this thing. And so I said, I want to be in the parade, but I don't know what to do, about my job. And I was asking my friends, they go, you should go ask Darcel. Literally like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Go to Darcel's in Old Town, knock on the door, they'll let you in, and ask the question. So I did that. Dumb me, I didn't know. And I thought Darcel was going to be on this throne with, palm fronds.
The wizard.
Yeah. No, there's a ladder, and they go, can I help you? I said, here to talk to Darcel. They go, oh, he's right there. Here's this middle-aged man on a step ladder changing a light bulb. I'm like, that was very, I was like, But then he said what he always says. He's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be in the parade? I go, yeah, I really want to be in the parade. He said, well, be in the parade. If something happens and you lose your job, well, you didn't need that job anyway. And of course, I was in the parade. I never lost the job. It was fabulous.
Well, that's really good to hear.
Yeah, so from the very beginning, he was giving me life lessons.
I'm so curious to know how you came up with your name, Poison Waters.
That's interesting. So you remember I told you about the 4 black drag queens, the first ones I ever saw. Well, 2 of them were Misty Waters and Rosie Waters. And Misty Waters was a beautiful trans woman drag performer, and Rosie Waters was a fabulous gay man who did drag, and they were Misty Waters, Rosie Waters. They were like a drag family, and I didn't even know what that meant back then. And so they helped me get together, and they said, okay, well, now you got to come up with a name because your first show's going to be here soon, so why don't you be somebody Waters? Now, who are you going to be? Well, I worked at the mall, as I said, and on my lunch break, I'd walk through the fancy gift stores and, the department stores and smell the perfumes just because I like doing that. And there was this bottle that was a purple bottle with gold right. It said Poison. It was Christian Dior's perfume, and it was new, and I smelled it, and I was like, oh my God, I love it. So I said, I'm going to be Poison Waters, and they were not impressed. Nobody, even Darcel, all of my early people said, that's not a good name. It sounds negative. Nobody's gonna, and I just stuck to my guns, and now I've been poison waters all these years. I can't imagine being anything else.
The kindest poison
yes,
ever.
And that's what people say. And you know, when I told you, Darcel used to tell me, be kind. I used to be a little, acidic, and people were like, "Oh, well, poison's a good name for you." And then now, all these years later, people say that's so funny. It's kind of the opposite of who you actually are. So,
well, is there anything left on your bucket list?
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny. All of the great and kind of wild things I've gotten to do have all been, they were unintentional. They were kind of accidental. One opportunity led to another opportunity. I never planned to do all the things. I rappelled down a 24-story building in drag for girls. I never planned that. I've been skydiving. I've done all sorts of. No, I didn't do the skydiving in drag only because it was too much to go over the stuff.
Right.
But the rappelling, I was in drag, and so I've done a lot of really great things, and I can't imagine, this spring I was doing a part of a wedding for the Weird Portland United nonprofit group, and part of it, and it was at the Wooden Shoe Festival in Woodburn, and part of it was supposed to be a hot air balloon, but the weather canceled that part. So I would like to get on a hot air balloon, and it may happen. You never know.
I have a feeling that will happen. Before we close this out, anything else you'd like to say to the viewers and listeners?
Thank you all again for the support. It's been amazing, not just for myself, but for the cast and crew of Darcel 15 and Company. The outpouring of support at Darcel's passing was really felt and really helped us get through it.
Well, Poison Waters, thanks for joining us for this bonus episode of Straight Talk, and thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next time for Straight Talk.